Mr. Aitchison, you have 5 minutes.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I've been listening to this debate, this discussion with Mr. Cormier, who I have no doubt means very well. I suspect he's quite passionate about his bill, and he cares a lot about making sure children in this country are well fed and can learn. And I don't think anybody, to Ms. Chabot's point, I don't think anybody would argue with the goal of making sure that every child in this country doesn't go to school hungry. I think that's just common sense. But as I listen to the debate, though, particularly my good friend and colleague, Mr. Long, who rants about how the Conservatives vote against this and vote against that and vote against this and vote against that, and my colleagues who are talking about the everyday expenses of life and how things are definitely getting more expensive, in part because of things like the carbon tax. I keep coming back to this point. All the programs that Mr. Long mentioned, that, whether it's this government announces with great fanfare all these programs. I'll start with the National Housing Strategy as an example in 2017. It was going to be life-changing and transformational. And, of course, the transformation has been that house prices have doubled, rent has doubled, you can't find a place to rent. Then they come out with their child care program, and it's a really good talking point. It's $10 a day child care, and if you don't support that, then you hate children because we're liberals and we're great. But of course, we hear about child care centers all over the country that can't afford to deliver the program with this subsidy that the federal government's come up with. It's like we're going to hire more bureaucrats. We're going to tell provinces how to do things. We're going to help them out by paying half the costs and never really do that. The dental care program, I've talked to dentists who say, well, we can't afford to deliver the service based on what the federal government's telling us we have to do. And to Ms. Chabot's point, this is another situation with this food care, this food program in schools where you have a federal government, an activist liberal government that is really, really good at the naming of programs. They're really good at the photo op and the talking points. And as they meddle in provincial affairs, they get nothing done. This is a framework to come up with a plan to do something in provincial responsibility that probably will never actually occur. I mean, to me, this is one of those examples, yet again, of a government that's meddling in provincial affairs at the same time as ignoring their own responsibilities. The federal government has responsibilities to deal with, fiscal issues. The fact that that interest rates are as high as they are right now is in part because of the excessive borrowing and spending of a government that says they're fixing things, but is actually just making it worse. And so while we meddle in provincial affairs here at this level, while we spend our time talking about this framework or the plan to make a framework that will ultimately one day maybe feed a kid, we're ignoring the responsibilities at the federal level and trying to tell the provinces how they should do things. To me, I fundamentally don't understand, how a government that after 9 years has promised the moon and back on so many different files and delivered so little can be so proud of their new framework on helping kids make sure that kids are fed in schools. I suspect quite strongly that Mr. Cormier didn't really plan to put forward a bill that just came up with a plan to make a plan to talk to provinces about having a plan. I suspect he wanted to do something more meaningful. And so, if I had one question for Mr. Cormier, it would be this: when your time is done here, and years later we're still talking about a national food program for schools because we just created a framework that never got anywhere. How are you going to feel about that?
Well, Mr. Chair, I hope that people and family watching at home will listen carefully for what my colleague just said. It's unfortunate to see the Conservative things that, a program like that will not help children and family for his benefit. And I hope I have the statistic with me, but the Canada Child Benefit probably help a lot of kids and family in Mr. Aitchison is writing, but he doesn't want to recognize that. But look, Mr. Chair, I'm proud of my bill. I'm proud that we're going to help children. I'm proud that this will be one of the most wonderful programs that this country will ever see. And by the way, many provinces already came to the table and said that they want to participate in that program. The only party
I think your time's up, Mr. Cormier.
would be part of this program is the Conservative Party.
Thank you, Mr. Aitchison and Mr. Cormier.